Hey guys, it's Kristen, and I'm going to be talking to you about the classes I'm teaching at our homeschool co-op this year. I'm teaching 3 classes. The first one we're calling Artist Studies. The second one is a junior book club, and the third one is Eat Your Way Around the World. First, I'm going to talk about our artist class. It is geared towards K to 6th grade aged kids. This is our spine. It's Vincent Starry Night and Other Stories. It has a bunch of different artists, but it starts with a portrait or a picture that they're famous for, and then about a 3 to 4 page story. It's not necessarily the most fact-giving story. It's like a living literature story. It's a brief look at their life, a moment in time. I read Leonardo da Vinci's chapter, and it talked about him painting one woman and how he painted her, what he was thinking, and then at the end it showed us the portrait of that woman. So it was fun to see a glimpse of him painting that picture. Another thing we're going to be adding to that is this book has a couple of the artists. We're studying 12 this semester in our co-op, and this has a more fact-giving. It has a bunch of different information per artist. It has, like here, the other one was not the Mona Lisa, so this shows us the Mona Lisa and has a little bit of information about it. Has a timeline to show us other important things that were happening during Da Vinci's time. It has other things he did. Here's a little fact box just for like birth, death, where he lived, and the painting era he painted in. Then there's another spread that shows a couple more of his more famous works and why they were that way. Then, while I'm reading that, the kids will be doing a coloring sheet, and it usually falls in with that artist. So, like, they colored the Mona Lisa whenever we studied Da Vinci. This is just an example of Frida and one of her self-portraits. That would be what they would color when we study this artist. Sorry, let me get that back in there. Then we were also doing the Katie series. So this is the first book, Katie's Picture Show, and it talks about this little imaginary girl named Katie doing her first visit to an art gallery and her learning how to appreciate art. Then, to kind of stick with that, we read the Mona Lisa. She has a different book for a bunch of different famous artists. So this one was her Mona Lisa to go with Leonardo da Vinci, and it talked about different art by Da Vinci, and then talked about some contemporaries of Da Vinci that had art around the same time in the same style. Then to go into where we create the art part of our class, we did sketching last week to mirror some of Leonardo da Vinci's sketching techniques, and we used Katie's Learn to Draw book. It just has some different little tips about like creating a grid over something that you want to draw so that you can make sure that the scale is right. Talked about like symmetry, talked about adding details and three-dimensional shapes, still life, how to draw a body starting with ovals and then erasing and making other lines. Talked about like the point of view and depth of field, and so on. It was a really interesting book and helped the kids learn how to sketch. Every week we'll be doing something different. Next week we're doing chalk pastels, we have oil pastels, we have modeling clay, watercolors, acrylic paint, oil and canvas. We have all kinds of different mediums that we're going to be doing as we study artists who use different mediums. Another book just for fun to kind of help the kids out while we're learning is Why is Art So Full of Naked People, and other vital questions about art. So that one reason I picked this up is I read a really good review about it. Don't remember where. Might have been Emily at our schooling, actually, and she had it in her morning basket, I think. But it also talks about the question on the cover: why is art full of naked people? Because one of the painters we'll be studying is Botticelli, and we're studying one of his paintings that is got a woman on it, and she's nude. So I think this will help the kids from giggling the whole time we study that. So that is our artist studies class. I have about an hour and 15 minutes that I teach that class because I'm partnered with a music class, and they only use about 45 minutes. So we read, we create art, and then we do a story at the end. That's the Katie part. So it's going really well and it's really fun. Um, we're going to be studying some other authors that I'm looking forward to a lot. Like we have Munch, Velasquez, Goya, Monet, Botticelli, Matisse, Cezanne, Pollock, Van Gogh, and Picasso. Those are the ones that we have scheduled for the semester, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And I showed you the Frida one. That was an emergency in case I'm ever absent. So this is like my emergency sub-plans. Then my next class I teach of the day is Junior Book Club. My older daughter has been in a book club at our co-op for like 2 years. So I thought it was really important that as my younger kids got older that they would have something like a book club to participate in. So in that class, we start the day with an introduction book, which is just usually a picture book. All of the reading takes place inside of class. I'm just going to use what we used last week to show you because it changes every week and I don't have everything. So the first book we read last week was Clark the Shark. You probably saw this in my in my Shark Week haul. I really like this book. It talks about there's a time and a place for everything, and I think that's an important lesson learned. And so the first week for these little kids, because this is geared K to 2nd grade, so for these little kids to see that, yelling inside, there's a time for yelling, it's just not while we're inside in book club. There's a time for being wild and crazy and running around like the playground, but not inside of our book club. So this was a really fun book. The kids got the point right away, and they really liked how the style it was written. Then after we did that, we would go back to our desks, and they have a primary journal. It's the kind that has the space at the top and lines at the bottom, and they would write the title, Clark the Shark, and they would draw a picture of what happened, kind of getting them to work on narration and retelling. Then we have the part that makes it a book club is we have snacks. So we have, last week we had popcorn and we had juice boxes, and while we sat down we talked about the book Clark the Shark and the different themes that we wanted to hit on and what a book is and what an author is and how you read a book left to right, top to bottom. We talked about illustrators, we talked about title pages, things of that nature for our introduction to what a book club is. Then, as they continued their snack, I read to them some poetry out of the Book of Animal Poetry by National Geographic. This book is beautiful. It just has the most beautiful, full pictures. The kids really enjoyed it. I walked around and showed them the pictures as they had their snack. Then they finished up snack and they joined me on the floor for the bulk of our reading, and we read, I thought we read 4 other books. We might have only read 3. It was kind of a shorter class because it was a lot of people getting to the right place and whatnot. We read Decibella and Her 6-Inch Voice, and this talks about choosing the level of your voice. Another good book about, like Clark the Shark, learning for little kids on how to make choices that make book club more fun and easy. So, Decibella. We talked about Interrupting Chicken, which my point of this was about not interrupting, but the story kind of went a little different way than I thought it would. So it was still a good story, and 2 of my daughters are in my book club, so we even talked about this at home, so I'm like, oh, don't be interrupting chicken. And Lacey Walker, Nonstop Talker. Again, another social skill that I wanted them to touch on about, not talking the whole time. We're trying to get a lot of reading done during book club and discussion of the books, so that made it fun. Then, I don't think I actually have any to show you or my kids ran off with them, but then at this point in book club, we go back to our seats and we would do a story game. Last week we did the story cubes, which you saw in my back-to-school homeschool favorites or my summer favorites for homeschool. I don't remember, but anyway, it's like story cubes. These are the big ones from Chick-fil-A. They roll it, and on each side of the dice, it's a different thing. And they would roll it, and they could tell a story. So, this first time they rolled it, it landed on a mountain. So you'd say, oh, once upon a time, we were up in a mountain. And so forth from there. They didn't have a really big time to do it because the way that with the younger kids that it has, there's going to need to be an adult that walks around and helps them narrate their story to get it written down in a timely manner. But they just played with the cubes last time, kind of getting used to it. So we'll probably do cubes a lot. I have some other story games that can work with that, like roll a monster, roll a setting, just different fun things like that. But so far, we're probably going to stick with the story cubes till they get to use them fully one time. Then the last few minutes of class, we are reading a read aloud, and it is Stuart Little. We read the first chapter in the first class, and the kids seem to be liking it a lot. It's easy, simple, and I think any book about a personified animal for little kids is wonderful. So that is my junior book club. Then probably my most anticipated class for me to teach is Eat Your Way Around the World. It all started from this. It's a Eat Your Way Around the World curriculum / cookbook type thing. I bought it at a homeschool convention years and years ago. I thought it was super fun. Each section is a continent, and then on the continent there's countries, and not every country is listed. You know, this if you read the beginning of it, she talks about how she picked recipes that were easily found ingredients, so she wasn't going to pick something that we can't get easily here in America. So like here's Italy, and she has pizza margarita. So it is just 3 different recipes usually per country, and this is going to be like how we start our whole thing. Now this class I have a ton of resources for. I'm excited about all of them, so bear with me as I go through them. But this is what we're going to be starting with. And each class we will be trying. I think the first meeting we will have United States and Canada. So we'll have 3 recipes from each country to sample, not like eat a meal, but just sample them for the kids. We started off with the easy ones because I know that a lot of these kids, again, this is K to 6th grade, they are going to be picky and not want to try things. So I want to start off a little light for them. Like one of America's recipes is fried chicken, so we're going to try that. Okay, so one thing I'm not going to be able to show you fully, but this is a rolled up world map. We use that each time to locate the countries we're talking about. Some of the resources that we will be using are Material World, a global family portrait, and this has, so you go to the country that you're talking about. So I would go to the country of the week, so I'd go to the United States or to Canada. And we would go and we would see how a family in those countries lives. Like it shows every possession that a family owns. Like on the cover, it's the best example. So this right here is every possession that family owns in their house. It's all laid out for you to see. You can see what's important to people, what they get to keep, what they can afford. It's a very, and it shows who's in their family, who lives in their actual home with them. So is it an extended family? Is it a blended family? Is it a very small family? Very large family? It is a very unique cultural look into these countries. Here's one on the back that you can see. It's very exciting. The kids just think that's so interesting, and there's a lot of words in there too, and I'm sure we'll go over some of the factual information, but the real feast is just for their eyes to see the difference. This is a travel book. It has a journey through every country in the world, so I guess it has all the countries listed, or all the countries at the time of publication, because you know that changes. So it just has a bunch of little tidbits of information for the country. So this is both countries, I don't know how to say the names very well, so we're going to go to Swaziland, and it just has some factual information, has a map, it shows different, you know, things, animals, the culture of the people, and so forth. So a secondary curriculum that we're using to kind of round out the geography of this Eat Your Way Around the World, because that's the other side of it. So we're doing the fun, cultural side, but we're also doing the actual geography to kind of be an introduction to world geography, is Galloping the Globe. I'm just going to pull from this as I want to. It's not going to be any way, shape, or form that's planned out. I'm just going to pull what we need at the time. Another book like that we'll be pulling from occasionally is Beginning Geography. It's very simple, teaching you how to like use a map and how to use geographical terms the way we want to in this class. And I especially used this when I made my emergency sub-plans I talked about earlier. We have an around the world coloring book. So if it's a country, because not every country is in here, if it's a country that we have the coloring page for, like here's Greece, I'll pull it out. The kids will color it while we're reading one of these things about the country. Just another way for them to have something to look back upon as we go through all these countries. You'll see a lot of my resources are very similar to the Material World. Here's Children Just Like Me, and it goes through and talks about a child's life in the countries that are represented in this book. So here is Trini, and she lives in Buenos Aires. So it talks about her life, all kinds of things about her life, who's in her family, what she eats, where she lives, where she goes to school, just all sorts of information about this girl who's just like one of our students, but in a different country. So the kids will really like to go through that and see the differences. Hungry Planet you probably heard of. Again, it's a very popular book for cultural geography studies. It is the same thing as Material World, but it talks about the food that people eat and the food they keep on hand, how they store their food, how they cook their food, what their favorite national dishes are, has a recipe for everybody, for every country that they talk about. It's really, again, just something that kids will like. It even talks about fast food. So this is like a picture of KFC in this country, which is, I believe it's China. Yeah. And it just shows you how KFC looks in China. So, Hungry Planet, What the World Eats. This is a kind of a picture book that kind of helps a little kid scale down the size of the globe and the billions of people that live on it. This is If the World Were a Village. And it just talks about if the world were a village, food, there would be 31 sheep and 23 cows, 15 pigs, 3 camels, 2 horses, and 700 chicken. Yes, there are 7 times as many chicken as people in a global village. So this is just a picture book to help grasp the size of the world. This is a book that I'm using as a resource. The kids probably won't ever see it, but it's Give Your Child the World, and it just lists by country different books to read to different ages of children. So if I'm looking for a Italian picture book to read, I could go in here, find Italy, and it'll show me different books that are available to be read that would show Italian culture. These are new to me, so I haven't read them very much, but this is the same style as The Hungry Planet and Material World. It's Toy Stories, and it is photos of children from around the world and their favorite things. So they would go and ask a child in different countries, what is your favorite thing? And they will show you. So like this kid really likes his Matchbox cars. This little girl and her friends really like their sunglasses. So I think the kids will really enjoy this, and then we'll have a chance to share about our favorite things and how it differs from other people. And along the same lines, Where Children Sleep. It is about what the bedrooms of children around the world look like. Just a few more resources. Last time was our very first class, so I read how to make an apple pie and see the world. And the kids just thought that was really funny, and it was a good introduction, because last time all we talked about was like a globe, how to read a map. We talked about hemispheres, continents, oceans. We talked about very broad things. This is our glossary of geography terms that we're using. It has pictures and very simple definitions. So we're using this to help little kids understand what different types of things are that we'll mention. I have just some fun different atlases so that if the kids need to look at an atlas, they can without having to share them all. So this is a picture atlas with stickers. And I probably won't let them use the stickers, but just real pretty, significant, really large pictures of different countries and continents. We have, here's another atlas that has really big and pretty maps of each country. Oh no, my page got bent. There we go, like this. And then my favorite book is Maps. It's beautiful, very, very full of information and animals and their special locations. This is, where are you? This is Poland, and it has churches that are famous there. It has the capital, it has the different bugs and animals and food and famous people and all kinds of information just from this one map. Another thing that we'll be doing to help the kids a little bit is learning to freehand draw the world. It is literally just, a sketch of how the world looks, and at the end they should be able to draw this by hand. And then my kids will also know what all those things are titled. So this one's North America, South America, so on. For funsies, kids in this class will have a passport that we stamp whenever they try the food for each country. And at the end they should have a passport to 37 different countries, because that's how many we're studying this semester. And it's just like, you know, going an inch deep, but it'll be really fun as an introduction to geography. Other than that, I think that's everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was long, I'm sorry. I'm really looking forward to these classes, and I can't wait to teach these kids. So if you like this video, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.